Hi, my name is Stephanie Haley, and this video is on my favorite microbe for my fundamentals of microbiology class. And this is also dedicated to my nephew who's getting of the age to want stories now. And my favorite microbe just happens to be about the interesting life of a tardigrade. He's so bad. One day, on a tiny rock, there once lived a tardigrade named Waterbear. The moss was set in a nice foresty area, but was close enough to civilization that one day a student walking through the forest ended up hitting the rock and took the water bear with them on the excess dew that landed on their sneakers. Water bears love water. On the shoe, it was an interesting place, especially with the constant wind from the movement of the shoe. Here, Waterbear met another organism named Dustmite. Dustmite was not happy to find Waterbear on his shoe, so he decided to make fun of him. Despite being so short, Dustmite commented on how Waterbear seemed vertically challenged compared to his ancestors. Previous tardigrades could reach up to 1 millimeter, while he was only a measly 0.7 millimeters. He even made fun of the little hairs on his back, which were actually cuticles that contained proteins, lipids, and chitin on him. So Waterbear decided to show that he's better than that. So, after Dustmite ended his rant, the Waterbear started to explain that the great Lazarus Spallanzani named them and their phylum after Tardigrade, which means slow walker, because of how they walked like a bear, a great powerful bear, even though Goetz was the first one to discover them in 1773 and described its movements. But instead, the Dustmite was not impressed, and he used the information to his advantage and commented on how slow he was, even with his 8 legs. He said that he looked more like a moss piglet than a great powerful bear. It was as though he was useless for anything but walking being made fun of. He's just a jerk. Don't mind him. Anyways. So Waterbear would not let this encounter bring him down, though. He was determined to show that Dustmite just what tardigrades could do. He decided to go to the highest mountains and that he could go to the deepest trenches and survive the hottest of deserts. He knew that the task would be hard and daunting, but he knew from other tardigrades that they could survive these environments. One tardigrade could even survive up to 6,000 atm, atmospheres of pressure, which is about 6 times more than the deepest ocean trench on Earth. But his biggest dream was to go to space, just like the European mission to Earth called TARDIS, or Tardigrades in Space. But Waterbear would have to withstand solar radiation, galactic cosmic radiation, weightlessness in a vacuum with no air, but he could survive up to anything because tardigrades could even withstand 300 times more radiation than humans could, and survive from temps up to negative 460 degrees Fahrenheit to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and possibly live up to 120 years without water. He wasn't a polyextremophile for nothing. So for many years he traveled the world and to only end up in the desert. Waterbear has had a tough life after leaving his home moss, but finally after days in the desert he tucked in his legs and his little hemicle and fell into a type of hibernation called cryptobiosis. But one day a scientist took a sample of dirt from the desert that the Waterbear was in and dropped a single drop of water to revive him in a laboratory. In this laboratory, he took many notes, only to find the Waterbear, and when the Waterbear woke up, he saw another. He was so surprised that she was so pretty and plump from the water, and if he had a respiratory system, he swore he would lose his breath. So, they fell in love, and with Waterbear, through external fertilization, they had many children, even though they don't have a larvae stage, so they technically would turn into juveniles by the time they came out. And they lived happily ever after on their new home moss inside a tank in a laboratory. Even though Waterbear never went to space, he was proud to say that he accomplished a lot in his travels, going to the highest mountains and deepest trenches, and he traveled the world. And he could proudly say that he was one of the strongest survivors on Earth. The end. He says bye. Oh, Oh, and here's some sources. If you need to see the sources, I can always send them to you. So, bye.